Hello and welcome. Today we are going to go over submitting a Regional Park Program online application. We'll be starting from the Regional Park Program webpage. Here you can see the button we'll need to click to connect to the online application. Once we click that button, we're taken to a page that has some additional technical assistance information. However, before we get to that, let's scroll down, and at the bottom you can see you have the option to either create a new account, or if you're an existing Submittable user, you can sign in. Now, Submittable has a variety of resources available to new users in creating an account, and so today we're just going to sign in. Once we sign in, we're taken back to this front page, and you can see that the application deadline is November 5th at 5 p.m. However, applicants don't need to wait until 4:59 p.m. on November 5th to submit an application. If you complete your application and are set to submit early, we encourage you to do so. Now below you'll see that there's links to the application guide and technical assistance documents, and we've specifically highlighted the competitive chart, which is a useful tool for preparing the application. It's important to note that the online application platform operates best on Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and Apple Safari web browsers. The platform does not support the use of Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge. It's also important to note that the person who starts the application is considered the application's owner in the system. The owner can invite team members to collaborate, but only the owner can click the Submit Application button when the application is ready. You can click here to learn more, and I'll also show you how to invite team members to collaborate a little bit later in the application process. Your application should auto-save every few seconds. However, there's also a manual save button that can be found at the end of the application, and I'll show you that button when we get to the end. The Submit Application button is found right next to the Save Draft button at the end of the application. We ask applicants not to click the Submit Application button until they are ready to submit their final application. Once you click the Submit Application button, you will not be able to go back into the application and make any edits. Now, OGAL staff cannot view any drafts in the system, and so although we are here to assist you every step of the way, including with any questions you have on your draft, please know that we will not be able to look up your draft in the Submittable system. Another item I want to highlight are these red asterisks. Red asterisks represent required fields, and so any question or field you see with this red asterisk is a required response. So in order to open up the full application, we do need to respond to this question regarding eligible applicants. Now, eligible applicants for the Regional Park Program are counties, districts as defined on page 64 of the application guide, joint powers authorities that include either a district or a county, and nonprofits with 501c3 status. For today's purposes, I am going to move forward as if applying as a nonprofit, and I'll click Next. And now the full application has opened up. And once that full application is open, you'll see that the Invite Collaborators link has appeared. If we click this link, we'll be taken to a page where you can insert team member emails, and once you have the team members you want to invite, you just click this Invite button. They'll receive an email from Submittable with a link to the application, and they'll be able to work with you on the application in real time. As a reminder, only the owner will be able to submit the application once everything is ready. Now, if we scroll down, you'll see that there are a variety of questions and fields to establish the applicant identity and a little bit more about the project. And then we get to checklist item number 1. Now, you'll be able to upload the application form, checklist item number 1 here, and we'll discuss a little bit more about the checklist items once we get to the checklist item section. But I want to move on and focus first on checklist item number 2, the project selection criteria. So project selection criteria is the only checklist item that must be complete by or before November 5th. The rest of the checklist items, you are able to submit a placeholder if they're not complete, and I'll discuss that a little bit further once we get to that checklist section. But for checklist item number 2, everything needs to be complete and in the application prior to the application deadline. No edits will be accepted for these project selection criteria. Now for project selection criteria number 1, you'll see that we have some key questions from the guide, and then we've also linked the scoring rubric and technical assistance for each criteria. So for example, for criteria number 1, the scoring rubric is found on page 15 of the application guide, and if we click that, we're taken directly to that page and the scoring criteria for criteria 1. If we look at technical assistance, for criteria 1, it's found on page 54 of the application guide. And if we click that link, we will be taken directly to that page as well. So each criteria has their unique information linked, and you can use that as a resource as you prepare your application. I also want to draw your attention to branching questions such as this question here. Does the project site offer at least 50 acres of open space? If you click yes, there will be no additional information needed for this question. However, if you click no, additional fields may pop open and have you give an additional response. So this is one style of question that you'll find throughout the application. And in addition, we've also got some charts. So I'm going to scroll down to this design input chart or table. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of information that's being requested here, and it can be difficult to see it in these small rows. If you want to see it a little bit better, you can go up to this right corner of the chart and click the expand button. And now, as you can see, it's made it a lot bigger, and you can better see the information that you input into each of these fields. When you're ready to go back to the main application, you just go back up to this right-hand corner and click the X. The application should auto-save, and so you'll be able to go in and out of charts and tables and back to the application without needing to save each time. Now I'm going to continue scrolling down through the end of the project selection criteria. And once we reach project selection criteria 10, you'll see that we're at the end of this section. Here is where we transition into the rest of the checklist items, and these all are items that you would upload. So under the upload field, there's some additional information about what kind of files and how many files can be uploaded. So for checklist item number 3, you can select up to 2 files, and here is a list of the acceptable file types. We also have a link to the form that we would like applicants to upload here, some directions for this process, and then we also always have a note or a reminder for applicants that if this item is not completed by the application deadline, you are able to upload a document that describes the current status, next steps, and estimated month that the item will be completed. Now, the checklist item number 3, Community Fact Finder Report and Handbook form, is something that applicants are typically able to complete within the application period. However, something like the authorizing resolution is dependent on the applicant's governing body and may take some additional time. If an authorizing resolution is not ready by the time the application is submitted, then you would just submit a draft authorizing resolution and then a document that describes the current status, when the governing body will next meet, and the estimated date or month that the item will be completed and submitted to our office. So as we scroll down, you can see that each of these checklist items has similar technical assistance available for it. And once we get to checklist item number 15, we are at the end of the application. Here are a few more reminders about the deadline. And as you can see, here's the Save Draft button. Underneath that button, Submittable includes information about when the draft was last saved. If you want to make sure that the draft was saved with the most recent updates, you would just click the Save Draft button. And once it's been saved, this little line will update and say it was last saved a few seconds ago. Now, here we have the Submit Application button, and as previously mentioned, do not click this button until your application is final and you are ready to submit it. I want to draw your attention to one last item, which is this link to the Competitive Review Project Officers assigned by county. Your project officer is available to help you every step of the way, and if you click this link, you'll be able to identify who is the right contact for your county. The competitive project officers are in this green column, and for example, if you are applying for a project in Alpine County, you would reach out to Nikki Lambert. That is all that we have for you today. Thank you for joining us.